Wake Up Tucson with Joe Higgins and Christy Simone on 1030 KVOI, The Voice.
790-2040 is the phone number. Thanks for sharing all your love about indirect left turns. Frank, the blind guy, says he's going to be. They're offering him a park bench in the middle of the median. So,
oh man.
Well, the good news is we're going to see a lot more of them.
Absolutely.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah. All right, let's go right to the phones. A voice we haven't heard since I think Brian Adams was in the top 20. Karin Uhlich, City Councilwoman. Karin, what's going on?
Good morning, guys. How are you?
Nice. How are you?
Good. It has been too long. We got to get together more often.
We do. Rumor has it there's an election coming up here in about a week or two, and
get out of town.
You want to talk about a shred event that you got going on?
Yeah, we can talk about anything you'd like, but for sure I wanted to mention that Constable Bennett Bernal and I are co-sponsoring a shredded event on Saturday. Starts at 8:30 and runs till noon at Mansfield Park, which is at North 4th Avenue, just south of Grant. And it's a good way for folks to get a free service. The first box of documents can be shredded for free, and it's just important for all of us to get rid of documents in a way that protects us from identity theft, and so it's a service that we've had a great response.
I will not insert Rio Nuevo joke at this point. Just kidding.
Shredding.
Feel free. Feel free. I was one of the ones who said drag those boxes out for viewing. So no harm, no foul there.
Rumor has it the FBI returned the boxes, so we're not sure about the investigation.
I've been wondering about that myself. There was a big deal made of an FBI investigation, and we've pushed the AG to release any results, and nobody's more anxious than me to make sure that anybody's held.
We heard Fletcher got back the boxes.
Yeah.
So I think that's over. Hey, real quick, Joe and I are one-trick ponies. We're about level, equitable playing fields for businesses to thrive and people to get jobs. Because, as you know, you're a Primavera lady. You are the economic integrity Southwest Center lady. And there are so many women and children and men living in squalor. A lot of them.
Absolutely.
So what the heck are we really doing, Karin, to create an environment that can create jobs? Hold on, let me just finish this one question. I'll let you go. That is going to pay at least one half of a family's expenses for a year. Go.
I'm glad that you're focusing on the wages that jobs are paying. And to me, the key is to pick industries, which we have, in fact, that hold the promise of good jobs without sacrificing what we care about in Tucson. So trade and tourism, transportation and logistics, this new $5 million grant that the Port of Tucson got is enormous in terms of opening up good-paying jobs. The healthcare industry, we just partnered with local healthcare providers to make sure that they'll get reimbursed for the care for uninsured people so that our healthcare industry can add jobs. And those are all three examples of industries we have that where we've got strategic advantages against all other cities, quite frankly, not only in the state but in the region, because it's where we're strong.
So I know we know Alan very well at Port of Tucson, and we know he's working it as hard as he can. But the part that you're responsible for in the governance side, what do you see of what is actually going on at the city of Tucson or any of the organizations you support to really make any of this? Because we've been talking about grants and promises of the future for 20 years around here. Go find an old G-Tech, vision statement or something. We can find it. So what's really, because we know you don't dig the mine. We know Walmart's anathema, and you guys had your fight. I'm not going to have a big fight about Walmart per se on this one. We got Grand Canyon University, which we didn't hear too much from you on that one. And so what is going on? What are we actually doing right now to get back to the supporting a half of a family's expenses by one person?
I would say three things. The first is making sure that our education and training pipeline lines people up for those jobs and make sure that those jobs are available. So programs like the JTED, which I really championed with partners to make sure that we had full city support. That's a training district so that high school students start early, getting the skills they need to funnel into these available jobs in healthcare, transportation, and otherwise. And clearly community colleges, Job Path works closely with Pima Community College. So that's number one. We've got to have a trained workforce. Number two, you mentioned it, level playing field. We have some limited incentives available from the city that are allowed under state statute, and I've been really clear that we're not going to hand out incentives based on who's got access to a back room or who happens to have the most power politically. We have open processes for folks to apply, and if they're going to invest substantially in facilities and add jobs, you bet we're going to give them the limited incentives that we've got, but they've got to compete with others and make sure Tucson taxpayers are getting a really a fair return on that.
You know, having been a small business owner for a number of years, the incentives, the loans, those kind of things aren't important to me. It's a level, even playing field, and navigating through the process is the big thing for me.
Right.
Hey, the Grand Canyon University discussion, we broke it down.
Can I just make my third point, which
Sure.
is cutting red tape? I just wanted to finish my thoughts on, because you're asking what can we do, and I totally get it. Sometimes we just got to get out of the way.
Right.
The manager's office is adding a small business liaison to make sure if somebody snags on red tape, they've got one phone call to make, and we'll cut through the red tape. So we've done a lot of work in that area.
Yeah, you know, I chronicled on my personal situation where I tried to open a Goodwill store in a building that I owned. It took me about 7.5 months. I had to go through neighborhood review, I had to go through zoning review, had to go to mayor and council, and all the while I'm waiting for them to sign that lease and start paying rent. It was really
even Guadalajara Grill, which she's in your ward, had to go through hell and high water to get a patio done.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, so these are since your re-election, a lot of these stories. And I haven't heard that many people saying, other than if you're downtown, man, it's changed. I'm not hearing any changes in what's going on.
Yeah, no. Well, listen, we're dealing with decades and decades of both red tape and a culture where staff was rewarded for finding a way to say no. And it takes time in a massive bureaucracy to turn that around, but we absolutely have taken steps.
Karen, that is an amazing, true statement. That is very, very cathartic. I will agree with you on that 100%.
Hey, Karen.
Yeah, well,
excuse me for that. I'm just running late on a break. Can you hold on for one more little segment, please?
Sure.
Awesome.
Sure.
All right, we got Karin Uhlich. She is a city councilwoman. She is running for her third term coming up. Ballots are going out next month. If you have a question for Miss Uhlich, 790-2040 is the phone number. wakeuptucson@gmail.com. Wake Up Tucson, 1030 Voice.
The Voice.
This is Bill Buckmaster, Tucson Transportation Director Darrell Cole at noon Friday on KVOI AM 1030, Tucson's Intelligent Voice.
All right, 6:52 in the morning. Thanks to Councilwoman Karin Uhlich for calling us in. Karen, welcome back.
Thank you.
You're shredding documents tomorrow at Mansfield over at the 6th and Grant area.
That sounds very Nixon-ish. That maybe we're having shredded. You can bring your shredded documents.
So the first box is, or is it poundage, or the first box is free?
First box.
Okay, all right. Yeah.
I'm going to bring a refrigerator box full of documents.
Let me just also note that if you have more than one box, then we just ask for a contribution to either the Boys and Girls Club or lend a hand. So it's still real affordable. Bring everything you've got that you need to have shredded, and we'll make sure it's affordable for you.
All right, let's go to Joe Higgins. He's over at the Grand Canyon University desk. Let's get back to that real quick.
So Karen, my sister moved her entire family to Georgia about 4 months ago. My mom and dad sold everything they have, and I'm putting them on an airplane on Saturday, and they're leaving after 35 years in Tucson. This Grand Canyon University is hitting so close to home. Chris and I have young kids that are in high school that may have an opportunity to attend a Grand Canyon University rather than U of A or Pima College. And it seems like that issue was kind of quarterbacked by Regina Romero, and that was her ward, and that's kind of how you guys do things. But anything you were doing in the background, anything you can tell us that we missed regarding Grand Canyon that you might be able to shed some light on?
Well, a couple of things. The first is that I did vote to keep the door open in communication with Grand Canyon. The vote was 5-2. Two of my to just end deliberations immediately, but 5 of us did seek to stay engaged and talk about not only the first site that came up, El Rio, which obviously was going to be problematic, but to also explore any other sites across the city that were meeting the needs of Grand Canyon. So I offered up some possibilities in my ward of major parcels, privately owned or publicly owned, because we thought we could probably pull in private partners. But here's part of what was going on, guys. I think you're aware of this. They had already decided to expand in the East Valley. And, they tossed out the opportunity for any city to offer proposals. They got a lot of cities like ours jockeying for the best possible scenarios, and they ended up with an even better deal in the East Valley. So they're smart people. And they used an open bid process to get the very best deal they could with their partners up in the East Valley. They'll be back in Tucson, I have no doubt.
I don't know.
The other thing is about 80% of their students do engage in online education. So we were asking, I think, some legitimate questions about what jobs would be based in Tucson. And really, we need time, if they do come back, to fully evaluate what...
Karin, you're in a city of beggars can't be choosers. I don't care if they said we got 300 jobs and not the full 1,000.
It's interesting you say that.
Sure.
Because actually, on the campaign trail, here's what I'm telling people. I refuse to negotiate on behalf of Tucson from my knees. We are not beggars. We have enormous strengths, and our economy is growing based on those strengths. Now,
where is the economy growing? You can't say it's coffee shops downtown, because all they're doing is transferring money that would have went to 4th Avenue or Main Gate to go to downtown. Where is this new wealth you're talking about that's creating this economy?
Well, as you know, unemployment is down from the Bureau of Labor stats. Check it out. From 10%, the peak of hardship that we all experienced, to 7% now. Mainly the growth is in construction, healthcare, transportation, and logistics, in some of the sectors that I talked to you about.
Well, it's also the U of A got back into school.
Yeah, no, and listen, we're not done. Obviously, we're not done. And with my background at Primavera, I'll never be satisfied with so many people in poverty.
Karin, you say you can't negotiate from your knees. You're in a city that all the roads are falling apart. Okay, they're just falling apart. As a lady who's worked so hard to help work with the poor, we just had the Arizona Daily Star, which covers for you guys all the time, do a week-long series about how poverty is just pathetic in this town. Pathetic. So something you say you don't want. No one wants to negotiate from your knees, but this city is on its knees. I don't know what I know. You don't want to say you're running for office and you want to keep it, but I look at I look at your police staffings in the toilet, your pensions in the toilet. Tell me why you're not on your knees yet.
Listen. We have all been not only on our knees but on our backs due to the downturn. We have really been harmed by a horrific economy over the last 5 years. How do we emerge, though? And listen, do you think it's good for business to only look at what we need to improve rather than also identifying what strengths we're going to build on? You have to start by saying, look, if we want to improve and strengthen our position, what strengths do we have?
You've been talking about this future of strengths for 8 years, okay? I have. Yeah, tell that to the lady who owns El Mazon del Cobre, who went out of business. Talk about all these different companies that are leaving, people who are leaving because they can't pay their bills. They got to work in Texas or up in Phoenix, and their family has to live here because there's no money to be made just for a regular family to pay the bills. See, that's what's going on. You guys keep talking about the promise of the future, and we keep having meetings and visionings and plannings and all this stuff. And what I see right now is potholes, no fire, no cops, and a pension that's about to blow up. And I don't get it, Karin.
The firefighters endorsed me because they know I recognize the priorities. We've got to do well with the basics. So public safety, streets, which we are just now implementing the $100 million bond question, which passed. So, yeah, I get that we need to cover the basics and do that best. And that's actually local government's role. And in the meantime, the economy is recovering. Is it there yet? Absolutely not. But are we doing the right things to get it on track? I would argue we are. And, trade with Mexico, if we had not taken a progressive stand on legislation like SB 1070, trade with Mexico would have been at a standstill. But
no, when you look at the tax receipts on SB 1070, it stayed the same. The Mexican people didn't stop coming at all. They kept the bonds are too strong.
I just heard last week the representative from the Maricopa Association of Governments in Phoenix say that Tucson is now recognized as the gateway for the Sun Corridor.